It's the weekend, it's Mailbag. I have had a hectic week and a hectic day, as I'm pretty sure everyone else has. I'm joined by last week's champion, Daniel Vane. Dan, how's things?
All right, mate. Yeah, good. Looking for the hat trick today.
Oh, God, no one's done that before. no one's won three. Just saw your Twitter feed before. What's that Black San Pellegrino stuff?
So I'm off the booze for a bit, and I'm currently drinking this, which is, it smells great. The body's good on it, but it's got this weird aspirin, astringent bitterness to it, which isn't very pleasant.
Right.
But that San Pellegrino stuff is, you get it when you go to Italy in these little tiny bottles, 100ml bottles, and it tastes like Aperol or Campari spritz, but there's no alcohol in it.
Okay.
And you can buy it in like bottles. So, over ice, it's kind of a decent alternative if you don't want to drink alcohol, but you still want to have that kind of, bitter, feeling like you are drinking something mildly pleasant.
Yeah. I get that feeling pretty much at the end of every day at the minute. Jack, how's things with you, mate? How's the dog?
All right, yeah. He was 10 weeks old on Wednesday, so he's still very much in his early infancy stage. He's still quite bitey, but he's sleeping right through the night now, which is something. So I'm a tired man, but he's I don't know what I did without him, to be honest. Yeah, he's ace.
I've got all your footwear on a high shelf.
Oh my God, I do now. Yeah, we thought like we completely puppy-proofed the house after we got him, and then like you'd soon realise putting like your coat over like the banister or like just leaving a pair of trainers, like he'll bite anything. But no, he's absolutely belter.
Job's a good one. Shai, how's you, mate? This is your first Mailbag in a long time.
It's been a while, yeah. It's been a while. Where's the invites been? I don't know.
I put the invites out every week on the group chat, lad. You've jibbed me off a couple of times.
I have, yeah. I have.
My bad. Do it, and then how are you doing with training? What's the crack with that at the minute?
It's not non-existent. Yeah, I took the decision to stay off training. Once the numbers sort of started going up, and then the decision was taken out of my hands, unfortunately. So. Yeah, it's hard to get into a routine at home. I hate it. I prefer going into somewhere to do it. But yeah, I can't wait till this lockdown's lifted now.
Yeah, same. I've just bought probably something that will end up redundant in the spare room at some point. This little push-up board. You put little. You got like two handles. You put it at different parts of the board. There's different muscle groups.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's as good as it's gonna get, and I suppose I'll have to take. Again, which was sound in the summer. Loved it.
Yeah.
we were very keen in the summer, weren't we, Jack?
Oh, my excuse has been the dog now, so it's locked down. So I'm like, we need something else. And I'm like, oh, I'm not sleeping. It's a lot more difficult when it's pissing down when you get up and it's pissing down when you get in.
Yeah.
Can't be arsed running, mate. Can't be doing that.
I couldn't, but it was needs must. Launch into the hot topics round. I've just given up on the sound effects now. Partridge is gone because he's never worked. Just going straight into hot topics. Si, this one's for you, as I don't know how up to speed you are on it. I asked 3 questions loosely related to a news story this week. If you know the news story, shout out the name of a random Everton player to answer first. That's like the finger on the buzzer. Get it right and you get a point. So, everyone got a random Everton player in mind?
Yeah.
I'll go. Ever felt cheated out of something?
Scott Gemmell.
Go ahead, Dan. What's the news story this is from?
Could it be the orange man who feels like he's been cheated out of his sort of God-given right to rule over the free world?
Yeah, that's exactly it's a lot of stamping of feet and gnashing of false tan. Yeah, that is the right answer because obviously the election's fixed. I saw something on news today actually. They were obviously doing vox pops in and around certain parts of America, and some head the ball said, this always happens with the Democrats, and we've had enough of it. So I urge everyone, go and join your local militia. Your local. I wouldn't even know where to start. Where's my local militia? Like, quite big enough in village, to be honest.
I was going to say the North End somewhere.
Yeah, I suppose it would have to be one.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with the North End.
Run from Birkenhead Boys Club. But I just love the idea of a local militia.
Oh, the crackers over there. No offense to our American listeners. Yeah, but it's mad. It's madness.
Yeah, if we've got lunatics, they kind of ramp it up a bit, don't they?
Yeah.
It's a bit like with the Reds. You know, every fan's got its lunatic fringe. Theirs is just massive.
Yeah, they're not all like
much more lunatic.
They're not all like the Farm Ranch variety, are they?
Is it any mate, that is the best name for Anfield anyone has ever come up with. Farm Ranch. Worldy. Right, Dan, go ahead then. What's your? Have you ever felt cheated out of anything?
Yeah. It's this.
I remember.
I went bald at like 24 or something. I've now been bald nearly as long as I had hair in my life. That's a horrific thing. But yeah, my hair was my thing.
You made the most of it when you had it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You definitely did.
I got sent home every day for about a week for backcombing it, dyeing it black, and dressing like Robert Smith at school. Eyeliner, lipstick, the works, big black baggy jumper. I've had pink, orange, green, everything. And then one day I was in Stockholm. A mate of mine was a hairdresser out there. And I had like jet black, kind of like mid-90s kind of feather cut thing. And I was standing in a bar underneath some very directional light. And he whistled me across the other side of the bar and just shouted at me, "Oi, mate, you're going bald."
That sounds brutal.
And the next day I was in his hairdresser's having my head shaved to a grade 2. I started at like a 2 or a 3 to pray that this
just
wasn't
went straight
happening.
in for it there and then.
Yeah. And I've got a scar here that when I did it, they had to shave my head to stitch me. So I knew I was going bald when I could see the scar. And then it just went back and back and back and back and back. And all the will in the world wasn't saving it. So yeah, but to be bald by like, your mid-20s is pretty grim.
Tell you what though, mate, if I was hair, right, I'd sooner live 24 years on your head than a lifetime on Michael Keane's. You know what I mean? Hair wants to be treated like you treated your hair, not like Michael Keane treated.
The thing is, it kind of comes as a double-edged sword because without this Uncle Albert tribute act on my face, I do look like an egg with eyes, or like a 6-foot-tall baby with tattoos. So the beard is necessary because otherwise I haven't got a chin. And
you carry the beard off well, though.
But
your beard off well as well.
But it ages you stupid, man. It's just like, especially when it goes grey like this, it just makes you look so old. Everybody at work kind of asked me what rationing was like and stuff like that.
Use that character off that God of War game.
What was the big thing down the side like that?
Yeah, because he's obviously bald and he's got a beard. You've got that going on. It's good. It's good luck.
There's adverts on the telly at the minute. It's actually for Maine. Spray on hair.
Mm.
I think that's like is that the Phoenix Night stuff?
Yeah, the Paddy.
It is Max and Paddy against the quiff.
Got like the eraser head.
Baldy monster.
Oh.
Jack, you ever been cheated out of anything?
Do you know, this is the one I struggled with the most, and all I could come up with, it's not sort of, I wouldn't say it's a personal thing, but do you ever have it when like somebody will recommend like a band, a film, or a telly program? It could be anything, and it gets like hyped up, and you think, "Well, go on, then I'll give it a go." So basically, in the middle of lockdown, like myself and my girlfriend worked our way through loads of like series that we'd never watched before. Like watched all of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, rewatched The US Office, rewatched Parks and Rec. Absolutely loads of films. But one of the ones that people had said, you'll definitely like it if you like this, was New Girl. And I know a lot of people in a few WhatsApp chats are massive fans of it. And I thought, oh, go on, I'll give it a go. And I didn't get past like the 5th episode. And I just thought, I'm not having this at all. And it hasn't been watched since. And you know, when something gets that big up, you think, it must be me. And then you're watching it and you're just like, even going back to it now, I'm just like, I can't have it. And it's just like, it's not like it's a personal affront, but you know, when you think, it can't be that bad if everybody else likes it. And that was probably one of the biggest I've had, when you think, it can't just be me.
Any mention of it's not me, it just brings me back to George Costanza. If it's anyone, it's me. No, I know what you mean. No, it's dead on. I had the same thing with Game of Thrones. I must have watched the first 3 or 4 episodes about 6 times and kept getting up to the same point and thinking, this is shit. Just couldn't get in.
Yeah, and it's worse when people say, just get past that. Just get past this.
And eventually I did, and it was brilliant. I loved it. But I had so many times where I was like, what am I missing here? What am I not seeing?
Yeah.
Breaking Bad for me.
Really?
Yeah. How many series was there? Was there 5?
Oh, yeah.
5 or 6, isn't it?
I got up to like the penultimate one. And I was just watching it thinking, it's not that good. But I was talking to people and people were going, oh, stick with it. It gets good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've just watched like 4 series. What like, it should be good by now. Like, there was only one episode where it was like, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did like it, but I can see why you wouldn't, because there's not a likeable character.
No. And it's a shout that, you know, it's an absolute shout. Because also what I think with it is, because I watched the last 2 seasons live, like the first like 3 or 4, I just caught up on like binge, and I was really into it. But I wouldn't be interested now in watching a single episode. I couldn't go back and watch it, because people that I know that have said they rewatch it and they're like, it's nowhere near as good as you remember on a second rewatch. So I'd rather just like leave it as it was.
Yeah, I'm the same. We watched it on DVD, the first one, and on dodgy American streams for the second one, because it wasn't on it. Didn't release it on DVD. We got quite invested in it that way, so it was sound when it came onto Netflix. But yeah, I don't want to go back to it myself, because people have said it's slow to start, and I don't remember it like that. I don't.
No, I think it's better. Yeah, remember the legend, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. On the subject of remembering the legend, Si, what have you ever felt cheated out of?
I think probably a good night at the casino. So set the scene a couple of years ago. One of my mates, Evertonian, he now lives in Taiwan, and he came home for a week, and we decided to for a night we'd go out down to the casino in New Brighton before it closed down. Yeah, on the way to the casino, I used to play poker quite regularly with a group of mates, and I used to say there's one or two that, you know, kind of like to rub it in your face when they've won. But you're playing with mates, you know. If I win, I don't like to. You're taking their money off them. I don't really like to rub it in the face. And he was like, yeah, exactly the same. So anyway, we sit down playing poker. It's me and my mate next to me, and you know, there's a big table, and goes around a couple of times, and I noticed the guy sitting just over there to me. Like, he's won a couple of like decent hands without having to show any of his cards. So I'm like, you know, he's won quite a bit of money. So I'm like, do you know what? Like, next time I get like a semi-decent hand, I'm going to go for it. So a couple of rounds go round again. And then this one comes down. I get two 4s in the first hand. So I think, great, I'm going to go for it now. So round the betting goes round. The first 3 get dealt out. I get my third 4. So right, I've got 3 of a kind. I'm definitely going to have a bet. You know, I've got a pretty decent hand. So goes round. On the 5th card that gets dealt out, I get me 4th 4, so I've got 4 of a kind. There's only, you know, a handful of cards that are going to be able to beat you. So everyone drops out apart from me and my mate. And my mate, it comes round and it's up to him to bet, and my mate goes, check. And I'm sitting there with the like 4 of a kind. It's not a great pot in the middle. I'm thinking, I'm not going to get a better hand all night. I should really raise him. But in the back of my head, I'm thinking of that conversation in the taxi where we're both saying we don't like to take money off our mates and brag about it. So I'm like, I know that if I bet, he's gonna go with me because I know he's got a decent hand. So I'm thinking about it, and ahhing, and he just turns around to me and goes, just check, will you? So I went, yeah, okay, check. So we both show our hands. He had a full house, which is 3 and 2 of a kind, and I had 4 of a kind, which obviously beats him. So I got paid out. And then the pit manager comes over and says, I know you're not doing it on purpose. He said, but what it can be seen as you two being colluding because you had such a good hand and you didn't bet. And he told you what to do and you did what he said. So we're going to have to ask you to leave.
What?
Let us keep our winnings, but yeah, kicked us off the table. So I was like, needless to say, like all the other guys around the table, because obviously it was a night out, so we were drinking, but all the other guys around the table were like, no, let them stay, because they knew that, in a couple of rounds, everything that I'd won, they'd pick up. But yeah, I was cheated out of a night in the casino for colluding.
That's heavy, though.
I'm 4 of a kind as well.
Cheating with you, mate.
Yeah.
That is heavy, though. Yeah, I have no idea how any card games work. Can't play anything. I went to Vegas and put 25 cents in a slot machine.
How'd you get on?
Did you win?
Pressed the button, spun round, shite this, moved on. Went back on the ale. Dan, just as a fellow, it's on its way. I'm gonna have to give you this because there's no worse feeling than being cheated out of a luxurious head of hair, as you definitely did have. So yeah, you get the point for that one, mate. Right, next question. What would you blow up?
Nuno Valente.
He blew up, didn't he?
Been a week
You know what?
left or something.
It never gets old when someone says a question perfectly. I absolutely love it. Go ahead. What's this about?
Is it fireworks?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So while we're all on, is it Bonnie night or Bommy night?
Bonnie? On fire, Bonnie.
I say Bonnie as well, yeah. Jack.
Yeah. I've had this week where I always thought it was Bonnie, but then I've seen the Scouse Twitter arty say Bommy, so I'm definitely going to say it's Bonnie with an N. Definitely with an N, unless you've got a purple wheelie bin. In which case you call it Bonnie night, and you can Bommy night, and you can get a COVID test apparently. We're just back to being tip rats now. There's no Liverpool City region anymore. Pick up the tunnel. Right. Go ahead then, Jack. What would you like to see blown up? Spoken word and wispy covers of 70s, 80s and 90s pop songs. And I don't know if it's because we're heading around that time where there will be a John Lewis Christmas advert and it will be whoever it is, Michael Bublé, Lily Allen, like it's going to be a song, might be REO Speedwagon, it might be the Smiths, it doesn't matter, but they'll take a song, make it worse, and people will say it's the best version of it. And it doesn't matter what the version is, it won't be. But because they'll put it to an advert. And the one I heard a few weeks back was Dancing in the Moonlight. Have you heard that? That seems to have been on, and this is like going back months, but that seems to be on about 6 or 7 times a day on my work's radio station. And I feel like Michael Douglas in Falling Down, when you sit and listen to it and going like, the apocalypse can't be far away here if they play this once more. I don't think I've ever heard a version of like a wispy song and thought, well, that was needed. That was necessary. Like, I'm not against cover versions in any way, shape or form. I'm not even against some cover versions being better than the originals. No issue. But as for like the wispiness and like, just the whole sort of the narrative and stuff behind it, just absolutely not. Yeah. Well, REO Speedwagon, shite anyway. How could they make that song worse? They did. Slow it down and whisper it, yeah. Yeah, it is like a whole new genre, isn't it? take a song by Keane and do it 9 times out of 10. The songs will last anyway, and then we'll go, we'll slow it down a lot and put like a cartoon goat on it, and it's like, no, just leave it alone.
It is like they looked at Keane and thought, they must have looked at a whole load of songs and said, right, what one is it impossible to make any worse? And he did it. Outstanding scenes.
What song's that one?
That was last year, John Lewis.
Somewhere Only We Know, isn't it?
Yeah, Somewhere Only We Go. Shite. Shite. What would you blow up?
Just in the theme of like, I guess, you know what time of the month it is? Parliament.
Out.
Yeah.
No.
Full of gobshites.
That's fine by me, you know. Yeah. Keep it short and sweet. That's fine. Dan?
Anybody that follows me on Twitter knows what this is going to be.
I thought you were going to say anyone that follows you on Twitter.
And it's going to be the Humble Sunday Roast.
Ooh.
It makes my visits to the pub on a Sunday just hell on earth, man. All these weird batter balloon obsessed perverts that can't make a bloody roast in their own house and have to go and clog up my pub and get in my way when all I want to do is read, you know, something like one of my ridiculously hipster football books with my dog in the 2 or 3 hours I get to spend away from my family once a week. And I have to go and sit in a pub that's got every single table reserved for some group of people who invariably probably only go to the pub on a Sunday or Christmas and eat their brown, bland, piled high home food. Just what are you doing, man? You know? It makes my heart sink when I walk into a pub and I go, oh, it's roasts. Oh, and then someone goes past with a big batter balloon on a plate, you know, because it's all about the size of your Yorkshires.
Yeah.
And all I want to do is sit down and read, inverting the pyramid. You know what I mean? And
I feel your pain.
The roast dinner, mate.
Just a question, Dan. Could you not change your pub date to another day?
It's Sunday. Sunday's like the one day I get a pass where I can literally walk out my house for like 3 to 4 hours, not have to do anything with my kid, not have to do anything with work, anything family orientated. I get this little window where I can walk, get the dog, and hit a few pubs. And now I'm having to sort of like, you know, walk for miles and miles to find anywhere. Well, obviously not now because you can't go in a pub. I just stare through the window wistfully at the shiny brass. My face pressed up against the window like that.
I've got a question for Jack's benefit here. At what point or at what age does your dog stop becoming like a child and then becomes a drinking partner? When does that transition take place? How long?
I'm hoping very soon.
Yeah, it can be as soon as you want. As soon as you want.
In the pub, just watch his shoes there, lad. He might tune him, but he's sound otherwise. He's fine. Obviously, Shai's going to have to get the points because Parliament is clearly the right answer.
Yeah.
But I do hate a breathy chanteuse. So I think Jack's going to have to get a point as well. And just in the spirit of the competition, I'm not going to give you a point. I feel your pain.
You're not giving me a point?
I don't want to blow up the Sunday Roast. This is like I did Blue Room with Dave and he refused to put it to Grand Old Team into Blue Room 101, which I think is a big mistake. But I'm pulling back on that one there. Right. Final question of the Hot Topic round. Careful with your answers, by the way. What should be extended?
Mick Madar.
Shout. Can't wait to put Mick Madar's picture over you there, mate, for YouTube. Go on then, Mick. What's the news story this is about?
Is it furlough / lockdown?
Yeah, it sure is. Right answer. So, what would you extend?
Oh, I am going to say the World Cup because I love it. I think it's boss, and it doesn't go on long enough. And maybe
you like the idea of more teams.
I think maybe get rid of the rubbish qualifiers and give maybe some of the smaller nations that global stage that they don't particularly get. I don't know. There's something about the World Cup where, I mean, it's different I suppose in the last 10 years than it has been previous. Where said this, there was more individual stars for me in the World Cup growing up. So like from 1990 onwards, there was more sort of like individual world class players. Whereas in the last 10 years, I think it's been more the teams have been world class as opposed to one or two individual quality. But I think the Russia World Cup was probably the best one in living memory for me. It was like every game was just amazing.
Fantastic, wasn't it?
It was a great World Cup, that actually. It really was. Mexico 86 still takes it for me. Dan, what's yours? That would have been your first one, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Don't remember Spain. So, Mexico.
No. I mean, Italia 90 is probably technically one of the most sort of famous World Cups, but also football-wise a bit there. But yeah, probably 86, yeah.
I think Italian 90's got that, especially for like English people, because it brought on that sort of that football Italia era.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It basically ruined English football, to be honest. Because every middle-class twat started watching it. No, that's a good shout, actually. So basically, you could shorten the season by about 8 weeks if you take out the qualifiers. Then have like a 6 or 7 week World Cup.
That would be banging, that.
Everyone in it.
It would probably make the season a bit more better as well, because you tend to get, especially around September, don't you? There's like three or four games, and all of a sudden it's a international break. It's just like
yeah. Well, we've got another one next week, haven't we?
Yeah.
That's a shout, Dan.
I'd like to have extended, or to go back in time and extend the amount of playing time that Ikubu had for us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I just love the bloke. I just absolutely loved him.
He was great.
And he was just brilliant. And when that Achilles went, it was all done, wasn't it? And it was. I remember being absolutely buzzing when we signed him. I remember like the season before talking to a mate of mine who's a United fan and saying, you guys should be all over Yakubu. And then we got him and I was just like, this is going to be amazing. And he was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. He is kind of forgotten a bit though, isn't he?
It was like one season, wasn't it?
One season, yeah. One season, 21 goals. And then Ping, the Achilles goes at Spurs, wasn't it? No.
At Spurs, yeah. There was no challenge, just jumped up for a goal, didn't he?
And then he spent a couple of years sort of trying to get fitness by going out on loan, didn't he? And stuff like that. And
according to his
Wikipedia, he's still only 37. Yeah, not buying that. But
not having it.
Yeah. But yeah, if I could go back in time, I'd extend how long we had a fit Yakubu for.
Yeah, he was absolutely class. Well, am I right in thinking he was one of the 3 players missing from the 2009 final, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So there was Arteta,
Jagielka, and Anachabi, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Anachabi was.
It's like if you look at that Chelsea team, and they're without Terry, Lampard, and Drogba for that game. It's a difference.
Yeah, and Czech. Yeah.
I mean, I know we properly moised it, but that definitely didn't help.
Properly moised it.
Tony Hibbert's still wearing after sun after that game. Jack.
He was actually Jack as well. His comeback game against Big Red, he was absolutely. The last time
he was, yeah.
He come back, and I'm pretty sure the week after we played Stoke, and he scored. and then Moyes dropped him, and that was it. And that was when I thought he was back, and then he just like completely binned them off after that. Yeah. He was brilliant in our last bloody derby win.
He was carrying a bit of lumber, but he bossed their defenders like they couldn't.
He was really good. Yeah.
What would you extend, Jack?
How acceptable it is to consume Christmas-related food and drink outside of just the month of December. Now, my girlfriend's uncle used to stock up on Christmas puddings basically from September. I'm a massive fan of all things Christmas-related, including the food. But the biggest one that I think I'd like to be able to carry on extending is how acceptable it is to have Bucks Fizz of like a normal, like, you know, like a Tuesday, you're like, do with the breakfast, like, pick me up here. And, you know, just take like a pre-mixed bottle into work and be like, no, I'm not getting pissed, it's just to pair me up a bit. And it's like, oh yeah, it's fine. Because, you know, like when it's Christmas and it's off and you don't know what day it is, it's like, well, it's all right because, you know, it's got orange juice in it. Like, to me, being able to just walk in and just, I think that would be lovely.
It's the epitome of vote Labour live Tory, isn't it?
It is very much that, yeah.
I am all for that.
M&S do the ready mix stuff, and that's not too bad at all. So then, and a few like the torpedo prawns that they do, jobs are good.
Yeah, definitely. Right, Jack. When we get train counts for Fontaines next year, all being well, me and you on the Bucks Fizz, lad.
On the Bucks Fizz, absolutely.
do you guys remember? Yeah, probably not Jack, but do you guys remember Baby Sham?
Yeah.
A Christmas staple.
Yeah.
Like my mum would drink a snowball at Christmas. Why? Don't drink that shite at Christmas. Very strange. All great answers, so you don't get a point for that. Which, weirdly, at the end of the hot topic round, gives everyone 3 points each. Wowzers. So, on to Ask Us Anything now. Mark Ellison's asked, who's your favourite? Si, I'm coming to you first on this. It's very much up your street. Who's your favourite all-time WWE wrestler? Mr. Perfect for him. We'll accept WWF as well.
Mr. Perfect is an outrageous shout. It's rubbish, Mark. Get in the bin. Mr. Perfect, come on.
His entrance music was great, though, and the Perfect Plex was a good move.
Just so many better. Stone Cold Steve Austin, hands down. Redefined wrestling. He was the best. No one at me. No one. Pardon.
I'll see Nim at NimMalen316 would agree with you because they said Stone Cold too.
Yeah, he's the best. No one at me with Hulk Hogan. He was a fraud. Nah.
Hulk Hogan was definitely a cop-out as well. I saw.
Yeah. Oh my God! Is there a bigger cop-out wrestler than Hulk Hogan?
I think it was Yokozuna beat him. It might have been in a Royal Rumble or something. Yokozuna's walking around the ring celebrating. He throws him out and starts celebrating himself, giving it the whole USA thing, which the crowd loves. So,
Yokozuna kegged it in Liverpool, didn't he?
In the Adelphi, mate, yeah.
In the Adelphi.
Yeah.
The rooms were that bad. No, it was, I think he had a heart attack in the Adelphi.
I don't know. I've heard he had a heart attack, but the rumours go that he was scared of spiders and he saw the spider and had a heart attack.
I'm all over that one. I'll take that.
Can't argue with facts.
By the way, the Rock's a close second. The Rock's phenomenal wrestler.
Yeah, I was out of wrestling at this point.
You missed it.
Yeah,
this is that the Attitude Era was the era.
Yeah, I missed the Attitude Era. That's when Hulk Hogan dyed his beard and everything, didn't he? Started wearing black kecks.
Yeah. It changed his name to
Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
Just in case, like, you weren't sure about his character story, going to where he's a baddie, put him in black kecks and dye his beard. That'll clear everything up.
Down Matthews Street.
Just don't stay at the Adelphi. Dan, what's your favourite wrestler?
Because it's going to show my age now. There was a tag team, and because I went to see that whole kind of WWF thing in the 80s, late 80s, with my dad. I think it was at the London Arena. I know I saw Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, the Rockers, Ultimate Warrior, and Jimmy Superfly Snooker was there.
With his little torpedoes.
But there was this tag team at the time, and they'd been in another division. They'd been in another organisation called the NWA, where they were called the Road Warriors. And then they came to the WWF and they were called the Legion of Doom.
Yes, they're the ones.
And they were called Animal and Hawk, and they wore like American football pads covered in spikes, and they had like all face paint and stuff, and they were just immense. They did lots of tables, ladder and chairs stuff, you know what I mean, and putting people through tables and jumping off of things and all that. They were just absolutely immense. And there's two guys now, because I still go to the wrestling with my kid, or did before lockdown, because there's a lot of really good independent UK wrestling stuff at the moment.
Yeah.
And there's a group. There's two guys. They've just been signed up by WWE. They started on the independent circuit and now they're in the WWE. And they were called War Machine in the independent thing, and now they're called the Viking something. They're like these huge bearded, hairy guys that kind of, you know, wear all the kind of stuff and the furs and everything. But yeah, Legion of Doom for me, they were brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Animal died a couple of weeks ago. It went very under the radar.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. It was only like within the last month or two.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, got it. I had the figures and everything. I had the little action figures.
I had wrestling figures as well. I've still got them. They're in Joe's room.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you look at Legion of Doom and they looked amazing, and then you look at Demolition and they just look like middle-aged fellas in bondage gear. The three fellas are like, come on lads, they're old for this now.
And also, same era, wasn't it, the Bushwhackers as well, who looked like they'd just come out the blob on the way of like
the worst finishing move.
Store.
They had the worst finishing move I've ever seen. So one of them, the other in a headlock and ran into someone.
That was it, yeah.
That was their finisher. Didn't
they lick people and stuff?
I think they did, yeah.
I'm telling you, they were straight out the blob then.
Taxis to Spam Ranch, lad.
And they were cop-like wrestlers.
Jack, what's your favourite wrestler?
There's only ever been one. It's Ric Flair.
Woo!
Just
God bless it. God bless it.
The amount of content you can find of him, 99% of it isn't him wrestling. It's just him just giving so many people shit. Like, even like there's bits of him like in WCW when he's like losing his head, and then he just starts like shouting at anybody in the crowd, and then he starts throwing his shoes at people and saying how much his clobbers were. Like, also like the bits like when he pretends he's been it and he does like that fall forward. Like, it's just top content. Like, he would have gone viral before going viral as a thing. And also, he must be probably only second to, I think, The Rock for, like, just trash talking. I don't think there's been many better that have spanned that many decades as well.
And all with that hair as well.
Yeah. And with the hair, yeah.
He's a trash talk, is he?
There's a good documentary series that's done by Vice, called The Dark Side of the Ring? I think it's called Dark Side of the Ring, yeah. And it's there's two series, about 5 or 6 episodes each series, and it's really good. I think the Legion of Doom, I've got an episode on one of them. And, it's give it a watch because it's.
Definitely, yeah. That sounds. I'm interested in that.
What's that on?
Vice
done it, but I can't remember how I managed to watch it over here.
Just have a look on.
Might have been on 4 on demand. They might show it. It's really good.
That's the thing with Mailbag. You get recommendations.
Yeah.
Also, if you want to find a good Ric Flair clip, there's when he went over to TNA, a fella called Jay Lethal, who was like an up and comer at the time. Ric Flair was his idol, and they do like a bit where Jay Lethal's impersonating him. And it's like a back and forth of doing like a Ric Flair off, and they end up like Ric Flair takes his blazer off, and and he starts elbow dropping his blazer like for absolutely no reason. But the impression that the other lad does of him is, if you haven't seen it, like, go and watch it. It's absolutely tremendous.
Get on that afterwards. Dan, I'm going to have to give it to you as a fellow Al-Arse and Legion of Doomer. Yeah, I reckon me and you could do Hawk and Animal. No bother. What do you reckon?
There you go. Let's bring it back.
Soon as this is over, lad, I'm down your man and we're doing it.
Blue Room is restless.
Next week we'll have that defo. Right, this one is going to separate the WWE from the WCW. Adam Sutton's asked your favourite flavour of candle. Jack, as a fellow metrosexual and man about town, got to come to you first on this.
So there's only one, and it's one I've got, I think, 3 of downstairs when I was last in the States. A brand called Lily Lane, and it's mahogany and teak wood. And that is genuinely what the candle is called. You need to wear a smoking jacket when you've got that lit. It's not an everyday candle. It's certainly it's not like a George cotton and linen. It's, you know where you are with it. When you're putting that on, like, good things will happen. So yeah, Lily Lane, mahogany and teak wood.
Mahogany and teak wood. It sounds like some bad chicken in a basket double act, doesn't it? So Jack definitely has a gaff that smells of leather-bound books.
Rich mahogany.
What's your favourite candle, lad? Come on, you got one.
Yankee Candle, cotton something, cotton.
Cotton bills.
Clean cotton bills. Clean cotton bills.
Yokozuna's bills.
I only say that because I was literally bought a candle this week, which is Yankee Candle Clean Cotton, and yeah, it smells okay.
Yeah,
it smells alright. Yeah.
Job's a good one. Dan.
Yeah.
My favourite candle flavour is Despair. No, I like a bit of Sandalwood, mate.
Classic fragrance, that, man.
Old school sort of. I used to get a lot of kind of, when I had my silly handlebar moustache thing.
Back in your Grandmaster Tash days.
Yeah, the third best in the UK.
Is this official?
Yeah, official. Yeah. Third. Yeah, as if. The other guy was dying is definitely. But there used to be this little barbers called Trumpers, and they did like a Sandalwood. It was really good, really nice, and it matched my moustache wax, which is always good, isn't it?
Well, yeah, got to coordinate.
Yeah.
Well, Jack, I'm going to have to give it to you for your rich mahogany, just for
absolutely, that's a banger.
Pure Anchorman connotations. And next time you're on Smoking Jacket, please, nothing less. Big fan of the black roll neck, but Smoking Jacket next time. Adam said Joe Malone, and I had an Aqua de Palma candle years ago, which was very nice, but I'm not spending that again. Paddy Boyland, as you'd expect, was a big fan of that question. So I get this question from him. Best individual display from an Everton player. It's an open book, this one. I'll come to you first, Si.
I mean, I did get influenced and sidetracked by Fellaini, to be honest with you, because once someone said that, it was hard to try and pinpoint anything else. But I seem to remember one of those. There was a period when Fellaini put one of those performances in, if I'm thinking about the right time, where we had a bit of a central midfield crisis and we had to bring in Leon Osman. I'm pretty sure it was the City game, and he dominated central midfield so much so that I thought we probably should have kept him there. And I say probably that one, or maybe, you know what, Lee Carsley in the Lee Carsley derby when he man-marked Steven Gerrard. It was a masterclass really, because as soon as Gerrard went off to rapturous applause, it allowed Lee Carsley to give him the space to act. If Gerrard didn't go off, Lee Carsley doesn't score. And he done that good a job on Gerrard that they decided to take him off and put someone else on.
To shout, and he scored the goal and he's got the derby named after him.
Yeah.
Something we'd all love, Dan.
As soon as I saw this, I immediately thought of Fellaini as well. In that's whatever that was, 12, 13 or whatever it was, when he got like 11 league goals or whatever it was, and scored against Man United first game of the season, and was just chesting and heading everything. I mean, it was just unreal, that game. He just basically stood in the middle of the pitch and just chested and headed everything.
Everything stuffed in there. Everything.
What a player. I loved him. But to return to my extension question, for me, Yakubu against Fulham, perfect hat-trick.
Oh,
he was amazing.
Yeah. That's a shout.
He was the first one, he scuffs it off a rebound with his left foot. Second one, he's in the box, little loopy header.
The
third one, he cuts inside onto his right foot and buries it in the bottom, curls it into the bottom corner, and it's just, the yak, man.
I think on that goal, I'm sure he scored the exact same goal against Bran around that time.
I was just going to say.
Went to shoot with his left foot.
And
then cut back. And I'm sure there's a great clip of either the Bran or the Fulham goal, and two defenders just go sliding past him as he basically passes it into the other. It's just absolutely unbelievable.
It's the Bran one where the two defenders. The only clip I can find is really sketchy. Like, it obviously been filmed on a 2008 camera phone or something.
With a spoken cover.
Basically, yeah. But he just totally slide past him and he just pass it into the net. Oh, it's sensational.
Do you know what would be a good caveat to the part of this question? How many players can we name that have scored a perfect hat-trick?
Stephen Naismith did, didn't he?
Easy, against Chelsea.
Against Chelsea, yeah.
I can't think of any others.
What a player Naismith was.
He was great. He was so underrated, Naismith.
Yeah, great player.
Yeah.
That was a boss hat-trick as well.
The fact that we sold him to get... I won't even go there. It's got 8 million for Naismith. Spent 11 on the...
Leave it at that.
Great lad. But, there's still people who think Martinez was doing a good job. Anyway, Jack, don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Best individual to play in Everton?
So I've got... The Fellaini ones has to be mentioned. I think there's the two for Fellaini, Dionites and the City, are well up there. I've got to give two, and it's one goalkeeping, one outfield. The goalkeeping was at, the outfielder wasn't. The goalkeeping, Steck, Man City away. To this day, probably the best goalkeeping performance I've been at, and one completely out of keeping with the rest of his time here, the rest of that season, the rest of the away performances, everything about that. Do you know when you have a day where you're like, that's not very Everton? Like the winning at Tottenham at the start of the season when you think a last-minute equaliser's coming, or like coming back in the derby and getting the right. That was one of them where I was thinking we'd scored a really good goal on the break and we got absolutely battered. And I mean, like, it could have been like 3 or 4, like quite easy in the first half. He made 2 penalty saves that were both, like, they weren't bad penalties. And he made a save that I don't think, when I say a lot of people remember, I don't think is given enough credit. The De Bruyne on the half volley from outside the box. And you look at De Bruyne's face, and it's one of them where they're just gutted because they're thinking, what have we got to do to beat them? Obviously, it couldn't be a complete non-Everton. We did concede an equaliser to Nolito, who I'm pretty sure that was probably one of his only goals that season. But it was still one of them games where you think, you don't see that every week. We're often used to seeing the opposite. And it was also because at the time, it was like that Ronald Koeman village fate tombola with who was going to play in goal. Do you know when it would just be like, well, you can have a game, then you can have a game. In terms of the outfield, Lukaku sprung to mind firstly for the Young Boys game when he bagged 4. But the one that I'm going to suggest as a bit out of left field was his game when we beat Sunderland 6-2 and Kone got a hat-trick. And Lukaku only actually got 1, but I don't think I've ever seen it before. It was that time when we were scoring loads but also conceding. And he was absolutely out of this world. Like, he was too good for them. It was like the performance he had against Arsenal in the first season, like dialed up again. And the best bit of it is the cross with the outside of his foot for Kone to nod in. And you're just thinking, like, this fella's basically laid 3 goals there and then. And that cross is still one of the best pieces of skill I think we'd seen. And a lot of that sort of stuff was underrated with him. It was just he only scores goals. But to look back and see that cross, like, there's not many that we've had that could do anything even near to that.
It will be
it's such a big loss.
It would be remiss at this point to not mention Steve Walsh. We'd have still finished 7th without his goals anyway. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I think that is a very, very underrated part of his game, the amount of goals he set up. Not bad for the lazy arse, was he?
No, he's pretty good, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he was unbelievable. Absolutely unreal. I mean, it's easy to look back on him now and say, oh, God, yeah, he really was world-class. But I think we all appreciate it at the time as well. Just because a couple of fatties in the park end said he was lazy.
I think his time was...
Tar us all with that brush, please.
I think his time was a little bit soured for a lot of people because I think he got asked some leading questions whenever he was on international duty and probably, maybe I'm being naive and saying that he was naive and answering them truthfully. But, you know, if someone comes to me, if I'm a world-class footballer and someone comes to me and says, what's your ambitions? Winning trophies and playing Champions League football is absolutely going to be my ambition. So I can't see what people expected from him, to be honest with you.
I think we did all get a little bit touchy about that, didn't we?
Yeah.
My only issue with him was, and I say this is obviously a top-class striker myself, times when he didn't gamble enough in the box. So he could have scored more for us, which seems a bit mad to say, he scored, he could have scored more. But if you look at a player like Yakubu, who literally did just stalk the 6-yard box, basically, he would be on his toes at any half chance. Yakubu never had a game, and he was always just sort of half a yard off scoring more goals, which, you know, it's stupid to say he could have been better because he was out. That was the only thing that kind of annoyed me about it, that he was sometimes on his heels. But as I say, I'm just a top-class manager, not a top-class striker. So
I think what people don't realise as well is that we had him at quite a young age. I think he was 19 when he came to us. And he stayed, 3 or 4 years. So, you know, when he left us, he was just getting to the prime of his, what should have been the prime of his career. So that sort of stuff would still be like, he'd be fine-tuning that side of his game, maybe.
Yeah. I'm glad he's got to back it into it as well. I didn't want him at United. Didn't want him to go there. Did me head in that he did. So find his form, we're going to add into them. Quite happy with that. Some more shots on this. Matt Jones said Rooney v Bolton, Baines v West Ham, Steph v City. Toffee Nosed said Reed v Man United 5-0, 84-85, dominated Brian Robson. Your darling, unforgettable. The only thing I remember about that game, apart from all the goals going in, was Kevin Sheedy going off and having to get his head stitched and then coming back on. Blew me mind as a 7-year-old, that open and come back on. Loads of shouts for Kanchelskis against Chef Wed. Mr. Robot said Fellaini United, Fellaini City. That's what you said, Si. And Baines against Newcastle. And Luis Harvey, Blackpool, was some go and scored 5, one being wrongly ruled out. Shout and all. I think mine was Steph at City, because that, as you said, that's totally out of keeping with him and us. That was an amazing display. But Southall at Coventry, I think 88. We won 1-0, and he was absolutely outrageous that day. And against Chef Wed, where he's made the best save I think I've ever seen off him, Ray Varadi. Just go and look up Southall v Chef Wed on YouTube, and you'll see it. It's basically behind him, and he tips it around the post. Brilliant. Jack, I'm going to have to give you the point on that one. And that's for Ask Us Anything this. And Dan, you're on 4. Jack, you're on 5. Si, you're on 3. But it's the true or false round now. So I don't call bullshit. True or false round, it's all to play for. It's all to play for. So basically, for this one, I'll ask the question. I'll give you the count of 3. Then you give me a true, T, or false. Which hand I made up. So, first question. In Tuszyn, Poland, Winnie the Pooh is banned from all playgrounds and children's areas. 3, 2, 1, go. So that's a true for Si, true for Dan, and false for Jack. Okay, next one. In the UK, tense this, isn't it? In the UK, all males over the age of 14 are trained in shooting the longbow. 3, 2, 1, go.
In where? The UK or the Ukraine?
UK. I mean, none of these have been trained in shooting a longbow. Bizarre. And last one. In Japan, it is illegal to be clinically obese. 3, 2, 1, go. So that's a true from Dan, true from Sai, and a false from Jack. So the answers are, right, there we go. Poland, Winnie the Pooh is banned from playgrounds as he was deemed an inappropriate hermaphrodite, which, if I had enough bottle, I would call the podcast Inappropriate Hermaphrodite, but I won't. Due to the fact that he doesn't wear kecks and has non-gender specific genitalia.
Is inappropriate.
Yeah. Inappropriate hermaphrodites, getting that on a t-shirt. As you all correctly called, because none of us, I imagine, have been trained in shooting a bow. That is actually false. It was a law in the Middle Ages, but was actually repealed in 1960. So basically, lads probably should have been trained in shooting a bow at some point during their lives. And, in Japan, it is illegal to be clinically obese. That's false. You can't actually be punished by law for being obese. But the Metabo law is a systematic monitoring of waist sizes of citizens between the ages of 40 and 74. There is a maximum waistline, 85 centimetres, 33.5 inches for men, and 90 centimetres, 35 inches for women. So if anyone's above a 33-inch waist.
How did they get around the sumo wrestlers? Are they exempt or something?
They probably are, aren't they? They can do whatever they like.
They're held in quite high regard, aren't they?
A 33-inch waist for a fella. I mean, and, you know, if you want to go into stereotypes, they're only a small nation, but that's a small waist for a guy, that.
Wouldn't do the park end, nah.
The main thing, how does that? Just talk amongst yourselves while I tot up the scores, if you can. I'm no good at this. I've had a glass of wine and it always throws me, so that one was true.
What wine? Can't multitask.
Mailbag, I reckon.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Pinot. Oh.
And fourth, Sai. 5. The wait's over.
This is worse than the count in Pennsylvania.
This I mean, I could take it through to next Monday if you want.
As Nevada, Rob.
This week's winner's Jack with 7. And you got 6. Sai, you got 5. Great performance all around, gents.
Enjoyed that.
Yeah, was that everything you'd hoped? It's quite the quiz show now, isn't it?
Very much so.
Appreciate that, lads. Thanks for coming on. Quickly, before we go, as it's United tomorrow, quick score predictions. Sai?
1-0, the Blues.
1-0, the Toffees. Jack?
3-2, the Toffees.
3-2, the Toffees. Dan?
2-0, both McKean.
That would be lovely, wouldn't it?
That would be tremendous.
I'm all over that. Obviously, if people are watching this on YouTube on Thursday and they've actually made it to this part of the video, which would be if they have, you'll know the result and that will be completely moot. Anyway, Dan, Jack and Sai, thanks for coming on. Have a brilliant weekend. Up the Toffees.